ERP. Okay, hope like if anybody knows or you're new, so let me explain. This is cloud ERP, and I guess you guys know what is an ERP. So ERP is nothing but enterprise resource planning. So if any big company wants to implement, let's say like let's take an Indian examples of an Indian company, like you can take Tata Group, or you can take Reliance Group or anything. So let's say if Reliance is the company which is having different verticals of their business. Let's say they have pharma business, they have manufacturing, they have like kind of an other business like petroleum, then retail, all these things. Now if again they have finance, they have HR, because HR is what they maintain all these things. So if they go for any ERP, like Reliance can always go and pick a particular ERP. Why they have to go in to any ERPs? ERP is one centralized area where it combines all your relevant verticals or all your businesses in one particular place. In one particular software, they can put everything in one particular place, so that for each and every vertical, you don't need to look for separate systems, or you don't need to see any other options. Where if you go to Workday or Oracle or SAP, you can see that all the businesses, everything, all the transactions, everything will be in one particular place. Okay, so that is the main purpose of an ERP, and that is the only intention of your clients, that they want to see their business transactions or their business orientation or functionality in one particular system. Okay, so this ERP came into picture in 19th itself. Okay, so maybe we are in our schools or somebody. uh, so very early it has come, but it was there in US. Okay, till in 90s. In 2000s it started slowly coming back to India, and then after that, then in 2000, after 2005, the ERPs became famous. Like first was Oracle. So when it became famous, next came up with SAP. SAP have drove the complete market. And then slowly, like there were other ERP modules like PeopleSoft, and we have like other things also. Even Microsoft was there. Microsoft Dynamics is again an ERP. And in 2008 or so, we all know that PeopleSoft is one particular technology where Oracle have acquired it. And the people who have developed that PeopleSoft technology, so they came out and then they have started their own particular kind of a version of technology, which is nothing but Workday. Okay, so just to be very precise, like the people who have developed, who have kind of an created PeopleSoft technology, they are the same people who have developed this Workday. But PeopleSoft is completely on a normal ERP, and Workday is something like your cloud ERP. Okay, and we all know what is cloud. What is the main difference between an ERP and an cloud ERP? Maybe if you take an examples of ERP, we have Oracle e-business suite, we have SAP, we have PeopleSoft. Okay, so all these are nothing but your Microsoft Dynamics. These are your ERPs. Okay, standard ERPs. Now, if at all you come back onto the cloud side, so when you talk about cloud, we have Workday, which is an upgradation cloud version of PeopleSoft. We have Oracle Fusion, which is again an cloud version of your Oracle. We have SAP SuccessFactors, which is again a cloud version of your SAP. We have like Salesforce. Okay, so this is also in cloud. Okay, so we have different kind of an cloud technologies coming into the market, and this particular software like Workday is doing very good comparative to Oracle Fusion or SAP SuccessFactors, because it has got such a beautiful features, and it is very flexible for the users to go work on it, and then try to gather things, or try to extract things, whatever the end user or the client is expecting. All that kind of features, even the look and feel is very good, the navigation is very good. Okay, so looking into all those particular features, now most of the companies, most of the clients are going with Workday today. Okay, and then I can proudly say you, because I'm an Workday developer, Workday consultant, Workday lead, whatever it is, can proudly say that the main kind of an clients that we have for this Workday, Salesforce is a client. Salesforce itself is an cloud, but again, Salesforce have implemented Workday in order to maintain or manage its own employees. And then Apple is an Workday customer. And then you can say like Cadbury's. So we eat Cadbury's and all, right? Dairy Milk, and then Mondelez is an Workday client. Okay, and then all big clients. Okay, now IBM is into Workday. Okay, IBM have implemented Workday to its own company in order to maintain its employees' data in Workday. Okay, Accenture is doing it. So mostly in maybe like couple of months, Accenture will roll out the Workday. So in this way, very GE, General Electricals, the biggest implementation, Amazon, the biggest implementation for Workday. So all these big companies are at most going through Workday side. Okay, so maybe that kind of information we have, maybe me or Suresh have. That's the reason Suresh or anybody who knows about Workday can always help people to understand that Workday is going to be the future. Okay, all right, so this is some kind of a background about Workday. And coming back to our particular content. Okay, so we all know, like in Workday or in any ERP you go, any cloud ERP or normal ERP you go, we have standard like two kind of an types of ERPs, like not types of ERPs. The ERP itself is divided into two different type of verticals. One is functional and one is technical. Okay, or in Workday we call it as, instead of technical, we call it as an integration. Okay, so that means you have roles in kind of an Workday technology, like you have Workday functional consultant, Workday integration consultant, Workday reporting consultant, Workday conversion consultant. Conversion is also there, but if you go to top companies like IBM or Deloitte, they have kind of a roles, but remaining companies, they don't have anything like conversion. But we will also discuss what is conversion. Okay, so functional, integration are more main verticals, and reporting is something like, again, big companies try to go with that. But again, anybody can do reporting. So a functional guy can do reporting, a technical like integrations guy can also do reporting. So there's no major difference. But again, if you are working in any projects, if client insists that I want a separate reporting guy, then the companies will always opt for the reporting consultant, and the person who is there in that particular role will only be working on the reports, not integrations, not functional. Okay, so this is something on the roles that we have in Workday. Now coming back to the first module that we are going to discuss, core HCM functional. Okay, core HCM. So maybe in Workday we call it as core HCM. In Oracle or SAP we call it as core HR. Okay, or core HCM. HCM is again human capital management, or it can be also defined as HR, human resources. Okay, so why core HCM? Why core HR? So any client, you see any client who is on Workday HCM, the first and the foremost module or the base module or the pillar module, whatever you can say, is nothing but your core HCM. Without core HCM, there is no Workday HCM implemented for any client. Okay, so without core HCM, so core HCM plays a very important role. And it also kind of adapts you to certain functionalities where you can use certain functionalities in other modules as well. Okay, so first we'll discuss about core HCM and then recruiting, and then I'll also tell you what are the other modules that we have in Workday. Okay, so first point here is HCM core concepts and navigational basics. So core concepts is something like when these guys who have developed Workday, they have started developing Workday seeking certain things into mind, like they have kind of an object oriented module. Okay, so like they can say like they have treated everything in Workday as an object, and they have designed that object in such a way that we always call it as Workday as an object oriented module or model, where we tend to think everything as an object. For example, an employee is an object, a position is an object, a job is an object. Okay, compensation is an object. So everything is an object. So that we are going to understand as part of your core concepts. Sorry, anybody have any questions? Okay, please be on mute, guys. So, okay. And next we'll go with the organization structure. Now, what is organizations? So in generic, now I see like everybody, like almost 90% people audience in this particular session have some sort of previous experience, right? In some kind of a technology. Now, if at all I have to explain you like what is organization means, let's say when you got hired into your companies, they might have told you, okay, you work for this particular department or you are part of this particular department. Maybe that can be a Java department, DBA department, or web service department, whatever it is. So a particular employee who belongs to a particular department is nothing but in Workday, we call it as an organization. Okay, so again in Workday we have different types of organization. For example, we have supervisory organization, we have cost center hierarchies, we have company hierarchies, region hierarchies, location hierarchy, we have custom organizations, we have something like matrix organization. So we have different types of organization. And why we have this many types of organizations? Because Workday have said like, in any client, for any client you take, whether it's a big client, medium clients, low client, like small client, whoever it is, if they have more organization structure, if that particular client is there in 100 different countries, then still this Workday should be apt for them to go and use this particular system. So that's the reason they have given different types of organizations, but for each and every organization there is a methodology. It's not like they have simply given it, but there is kind of some background functionality of a type of organization. If at all you take a region, okay, if you take like Dana, so if Dana is working in India, then your company can treat as Dana is part of Asia Pacific region. Let's say if Naveen is in US, then they can say that Naveen is in North American region. So that way, every type of an organization have its own importance, and there is also an importance for its own hierarchies as well. Okay, but out of these 10 types of organization, the most very important type of organization is supervisory organization. So supervisory organization is what? That's the reason, that's in the first point. Supervisory, why it is very important is because whenever you hire employees in Workday, you always tend to hire employees in supervisory organizations. You will not hire employees in any other type of organizations. Always you will try to hire employees in supervisory organizations, and you maintain their data in supervisory organizations. But yes, you can tag an employee, or you can assign an employee, you can assign a cost center to employee, you can assign a company to an employee, you can assign a region to an employee, saying that this employee is part of this region, this cost center, this company and all. But in Workday, we always say that this employee is hired in this supervisory organization. Okay. And the next one is your subordinate organization. Subordinate is nothing but which is a child node of your parent organizations. Because we know if you see your hierarchy, for example, if you are working in any company, you might have an hierarchy. You might have a manager, you might have a senior manager, you might have a director. So there might be a level of hierarchies for you in your companies as well, right? In the same way in Workday, we have like supervisory organization and subordinates hierarchy. Subordinate is something like a child kind of an organization. It is still supervisory organization, but any organization below a supervisory organization, we call it as an subordinate organization. So we will try to see that. And then additional organization types and hierarchies, which was just explained. Organization assignments on supervisory organization. So this is kind of a tricky part in organizations. Okay, so let's say now I have hired one employee in one department, and there is something like a cost center, company, regions, everything is there. Now every time I cannot go and manually assign everything. Okay, so even if at all you're an HR, you know that pain. If at all you're hiring a person, and again after the person got hired, again if you want to go and add these cost centers and everything, it would be a pain for everybody. So Workday has come up with a simple logic, a simple kind of a functionality where they say that if you automatically assign certain cost centers, companies, regions to a supervisory, then any employee who is hired in that particular supervisory will automatically inherit these company cost centers, regions and everything, so that you don't need to explicitly go and assign it later. Okay, so that is again a tricky part of these organizations. And let me tell you, organization structure is very important. Even when I got trained 6 years back, even my trainer told me the same thing, because if you don't understand organization, if you haven't configured this organization structure correctly, rest of the things, whatever you implement down the line, maybe it's an compensation structure, security structure, or jobs position structure, anything, everything will be messed up. So if you doesn't concentrate, or if you doesn't do the functionality, and we have seen it because there are few clients who went for a small companies for implementation. They have implemented, they came up and everything got messed up, and then again they came back to us and say that we want to re-implement the project because the organization's structure was completely messed up, and due to that everything got messed up. Okay, so as a consultant you have to be very, very careful whenever you're configuring these hierarchies. All right.
A quick question. So when you were saying supervisory and subordinate organization, you said first you have to create the user in supervisory only.
No, I
So,
did not say you have to create a user in supervisory. I said you have to hire an employee in supervisory.
so every employee you have to hire in supervisory.
Right. Every employee should be hired in only supervisory organizations.
So, so how will you differentiate? Because even if I'm hiring a manager, or because the term supervisory means something else. There's a reason I'm asking you, because I'm not able to relate the literal meaning and the technical thought process
See,
behind both.
here we are discussing about organizations. So still we are not in employee structure. Okay,
Okay.
so we are just saying that this is supervisory organization, this is cost center, this is company. We are just structuring your organizations. So whenever you are hiring employees, then you will come to know saying that when you hire an employee, okay, an employee can be there. And once you hire an employee, let's say I've hired 10 people in one supervisory organization. And then out of 10 people, there can be one manager. Then I will assign a role called as a manager to that particular person who is there, who got hired in that supervisory, so that that person becomes a manager. So now we are not in that part, because when we go to the security, then we will discuss who is a manager. Manager is a role. Okay, HR manager is a role. Compensation administrator is a role. So these are all roles. So when you assign the role, that person will become that kind of an activity, and then he will be given certain permissions to do it. But in supervisory organizations, we will always hire employees. Clear?
Got you. Got you. Yeah,
Okay.
that clarifies. Thank you.
Okay, so we have the next topic as staffing models and jobs and positions. Okay, so both are part of the same logic or functionality, but we have divided because there are slight differences. Now, whenever any client, you see, like if you go to a client, now I have just taken an example of Reliance Group. Okay, so I said Reliance Group might be in different businesses. It can be in petroleum business, it can be in manufacturing, it can be in IT, okay, or it can be in pharma, it can be anywhere. Now, whenever you are hiring an employee in any supervisory organization, Workday says that depending on the industry of the client, we decide what type of an staffing model. Staffing is, in general, in Workday have two types of staffing models. One is position management and job management. Okay, for example, if you get hired to your organization, they might just give you kind of a designation, because you never know. They just tell you, okay, you got hired as an senior consultant, you got hired as an team lead, you got hired as a manager. But in the background, company will be doing certain kind of an roles kind of a thing. Okay, so in Workday, there are two types of hiring it happens: position management hiring, job management hiring. For example, if you go to a factory, so let's say you're in India, you go to a manufacturing industry. In professional words, we say manufacturing industry, but in normal terms, we say it's a factory. So if you go to a manufacturing industry, there might be 40, 50,000 people working in it. But do you think that everybody have specific roles? No, they can be a worker, daily worker, okay, normal laborer. So that's what they're treated. They can be paid on daily basis or they can be paid on weekly basis. Okay, so manufacturing industry always goes this way. So everybody doesn't have a specific role to be played. So everybody is treated as a worker. So in that kind of a mode, we will always go for your job management, where there is no major importance but the role, but we create a role and then we hire bulk employees into that particular role. Okay, so daily workers, 40,000, we can create one role, hire 40,000 employees in that particular role, which is nothing but daily labor. For all the daily laborers, let's say there are 200 managers. So take one particular job role, hire 200 managers in that job role, done. So this is what always happens with your manufacturing industries. But let's say you go to an IT industry in which we are all working. In IT industry, everybody have their own specific roles. If at all I say I'm an Workday functional lead, okay, if at all we take anybody else, he's an kind of an Workday functional or Workday HCM architect or Workday business analyst. So everybody have unique roles for them. So that particular cases, if we say that any role which have unique kind of an identification, that will always be hide under your position management. So now, if at all you take an IT company and you want to hire 10 people under one particular department, then you need to have 10 positions. But if you go to an normal manufacturing industry, if you want to hire 10 people under one particular role, you will create only one role, hire everybody into that role. So that is the major difference about your job management and position management. And this basic difference is not only with Workday. You go to any ERP, SAP, Oracle, anywhere, this is the major distinguish. Okay, so here we'll try to understand staffing models, hiring restrictions, differentiating staffing models. So we have different names, but the functionality is what I have just explained. And whenever we have job profiles, so job profiles is again going to be a very, very, very important concept in Workday, because job profile is one particular area which is linked both to job management and position management, where we define multiple criteria in your job profiles. And at the same time, we have job families, we have job family groups. So what is job family group? So you can say job family group can be considered as an umbrella where you have multiple job families under one umbrella, and under one job families, you can have multiple job profiles. So in that way, again, this type of an hierarchy that again gets created as part of your staffing models or jobs and positions. Okay. So let me move on to compensation. Now, in Workday, we have two types of compensation modules. One is core compensation, one is advanced compensation. So here we will be only talking about core compensation module. So this is a specific module, okay? Compensation is not, it is part of core HCM, but it has got its own importance. But if at all we take advanced compensation, that is outside your core HCM, okay? That has again separate functionality about it. Now, what we generally do in this compensation, generally what we define here in this particular part is whenever we are hiring anybody, okay, even in India, like whenever we are hiring any person, we will just decide, okay, what is the grade that we have to give to that person. Okay, so grades are again defined by your organization policies. If a person is having 0 to 2 years of experience, give him grade 1. 2 to 3 years, grade 2, 3 to 4 years, grade 3, something like that. So your company is going to put a policy on it. Okay. So we always maintain every organization have grades, and we also have something like grade profiles. That means for grade 1, what is the range of salary that we are giving, whether it is like 0 to 3 lakhs per annum. So that can be given to a fresher. If he performs very good, 3 lakhs. If he performs on an average basis, 2 lakhs. It all depends. So again, every grade profile is linked to your grade, where grade profile always deals with your salary ranges. Okay. And then we again have something like a package, compensation package structure, where we try to include everything. And then we also have something like your compensation plans. So for example, any employee is hiring, we are hiring any employee, then we'll say whether we are paying him on annual basis or hourly basis. If you take US market, mostly it's hourly basis. And then they basically do it on weekly or bi-weekly basis. But in India, it's like annually we will show them the package, but we generally pay him on monthly basis, right? So here we will define something like salary plans, and then we will see how that employees, what is the package that is offered to that employee on annual basis. So here in compensation, we are just showing that how much the employee is paid. If at all the employee has to really get paid, that is again maintained in your Workday payroll module. Here we are not paying an employee. We are just showing that how much employee is holding as part of his compensation package. Okay. Again, we have some rules and all. Let's say if at all there is something like car allowance plan. So only directors in the organization should get it, not everybody. Then again, we can write a rule. Okay. If there is something like festival bonus, then only managers in the organization should get it. Again, we can write a rule. So there is something called as compensation eligibility rules, where we can use those rules and write up, and then we can assign it to our package, so that only those people who are part of that particular category will get these plans. Okay. All right, that's about your compensation. Next is with your security. Security is again kind of an very global kind of an concepts that we are going to discuss, where once you understand the concept here, you go to any module, you implement any other module like Workday payroll, Workday absence, Workday time tracking, any other module, it's the same. Concepts are the same for your security. So security is also going to be very, very critical, because you know, like we all know, like even when we are working for any companies, if we need to enter into our company premises or anything, we have to swipe in, swipe out. For every room, for servers room, there is again a kind of an security. So that way we can relate that in Workday also, security has been placed in every area. What employee has to actually see, what employee can actually do. So these two are the different category. Okay, with this, we have some domain policies, we have some business process policies. Domain policies is always deals with the data. Who can see what data? For example, if my client says that I don't want managers to see the compensation part of any employee, irrespective of whether they are subordinates or any other. So for that, we can always restrict. So we can go with your domain security policies, and we can make sure that the managers in the organization are restricted to see the employees compensation details. Okay, in the same way, anybody who is hired in the organization, only like compensation partners are allowed to give the compensation. Not everybody is allowed to give the compensation to an employee. Only compensation partner is a role. Then again, we have something like business process security policies, where we go and then we add permissions to that process so that only compensation partners are going to do it. Okay, and again, it's kind of an ocean, where security is an ocean where we have different business security types like job based, role based, user based. So we will see everything, but whatever is required for our training we will see, because we have almost like 10 types of security groups, which we don't see all security groups, where there are very complex level of security groups. Whatever is frequently used and whatever is important. So we are going to discuss some 5 types of security groups in these kind of sessions, so that once you are, you know, like how this can be used, and once you are placed in a project, you can go and easily read the guides or anything, if at all you have to implement the other type of security groups. Okay, so we will all discuss about those security groups. And next comes with the concept called business process. So business process is nothing but it's kind of a workflow. Okay, so in SAP generally it's called as a workflow. For example, if at all you're hiring an employee, it's a business process. Okay, it's a process how you are hiring an employee. What are the stages you have in hiring of an employee? Let's say you are terminating an employee. So what are the stages you have while you terminate an employee? Let's say you are promoting an employee. So all these are nothing but business processes. Now, why we have this in Workday? Because every client have their own processes. It's not necessary that 2 clients can have the same process. Maybe TCS can have, Tata Consultancy Services can have one sort of process for hiring of an employee, and Deloitte Consulting can have another process of hiring of an employee, right? So it's not necessary that both these companies or all the companies has to maintain only one process. So these business processes are always specific to your clients. We have to always go and configure these BPs for our client specific requirement, saying that if my client says that I have 5 level stages in my hiring, so you have to configure 5 stages. For other client, if he says that I have 10 stages, you have to configure 10 stages. So that's all you will configure for all the BPs. And let me tell you, these BPs are given by Workday. You don't need to create anything. The structure is given, but you just need to go to that structure and you need to just place the steps in it, and then you have to test it thoroughly. Okay, so that's where your BPs will come into the picture. Okay, so the last topic in core HCM is your transactions. Transactions is something like whoever goes as part of and support guys. Okay, this is majorly used for a support consultants, because whenever we go for a support consultants, immediately you'll get a requirement saying that, okay, this employee is not getting benefits information, or this employee is not getting bonus plan. Just go and check. So you need to know the navigations immediately. Okay, where you have to go, where you have to test it, how to debug it, how to navigate it. Okay, all these are something like transactions. So we generally do some sample transactions like promoting an employee, terminating an employee, or hiring of an employee, how these transactions happen, how you have to debug and everything. So those are kind of an basic transactions that we always do. Or let's say if your client says that I want this cost center to be removed from this set of employees, then you have to know where you can remove it. So that is again part of your organization assignments. So there you have to go to that particular employee and start removing the cost centers. Okay, but again, that's a BP. Whenever you want to remove, you want to add, everything is an BP. You need to know that how to track those BPs, how to do it from a client perspective. Okay, yeah, so these are all the points that we want to cover in core HCM module. So let me take a pause and ask you guys if you have any questions. So it would be a quick break because we don't have much time. We need to cover other topics.
But my focus area will be more on the security groups you mentioned, especially role-based, user-based, job-based. So when
Okay.
you, I just wanted to put that across.
Sure. So we will practically, so whatever I'm showing you in this content, so we will practically, I'll not run through any PPTs, no PDFs, nothing. Everything will be from day one. We will see in your, maybe day one is something like we will see the implementation methodologies for 2 days, but after that we will start working on our tenant. No PDFs running. Everything will be practically created in front of you and will be shown to you.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Recruitment functional. Okay, so now core HR, as I told, core HR would always be the base of your particular for any Workday HCM implementation or support. But other than core HR, you have any other modules like you take recruitment, you take payroll, you take absence, you take benefits, you take advanced compensation, anything. These are all considered as advanced modules. Even in Workday terms, we call it as, if at all we go for any certification, this is called advanced module certifications. Okay, so everybody will learn core HR. Okay, in every institute will teach core HR, but very rarely other institutes or other companies or anybody doesn't touch any advanced modules because they worked only till there. So here in this particular content for this particular demos or these sessions, we are also taking on advanced modules, which is something like your recruitment. Okay, we also train on other modules, advanced modules, but again, Suresh might explain you later. But in this particular course content package, we are also offering one advanced module, which if you want to crack jobs in Workday, only core HCM may not suffice, but you have to also go with one advanced module. And this recruitment is doing very good in the market, which will always help you. Okay, and in general, we all know what is recruitment. So if at all anybody is getting placed in an organization, there would be a process that will be formed. So core HR is an module where it will take from the day when the employee is there in the organization. When you hire an employee in the organization, from there you will take everything. So assigning compensations or managing employees or promoting, demoting, terminating, everything. But before the employee is hired, so that process is always captured in your recruitment module. Okay, so introduction to Workday recruiting. So we will go with an overview. We will try to understand the recruitment process because we also have some fresh graduates. Maybe they might not understand, but how the recruitment process happens in the real-time world will be explained there. Recruiting technology. So what are all the technologies like we have where we can do the recruiting in LinkedIn? We have Indeed portal. So all these things we will try to discuss. Capabilities and integrations. What are integrations? We'll try to understand, but these will be discussed. Now, security and tenant setup is something like you have to do some prerequisite configurations in order to start doing with recruiting. Okay, so that prerequisite is what we generally consider as your tenant setups, your security configuration. Again, I told you, right? Security will be touched in every module, but once you have configured everything in core HR, now for if at all you're moving to any other module, it will only be the extension of security. But again, you don't need to start from the scratch. So again, here in Workday recruiting, we all know we need to have some security roles like a recruiter, recruiting primary coordinator, hiring manager. So all those kind of security needs to be set up in recruiting as well. Something like ad hoc role assignments, we will try to understand. Now, questionnaires and job requisitions. So let me give you a brief. I'll not go point by point. We all know job requisition in normal terms is nothing but your job opening. So if any company wants to hire anybody, first they have to prepare a job opening. Okay, they have to work on that job opening with all kind of in details, with compensation details, with job profile, the roles and responsibilities, okay, the locations, the hiring start date, when it will start, when it will end. So everything will be created in job openings, and then they are going to post that job openings into different job sites like Indeed, LinkedIn, all that stuff, Glassdoors and all, or even to their websites for their internal candidates, for internal people. Because now companies also tend to cross train people, or if anybody is in Java, let's say I'm working in Java but I'm interested in Workday, and then I want to do an internal transfer. So for that, again, I can go to my company's website, I can search and I can apply from there. So these are all terms we generally call it as an job requisitions. And when it comes to your questionnaire, so whenever you are applying for a job, so maybe they might put you some questions, right? So do you have eligibility to work in this particular country, or are you an H1B holder, or are you an green card holder? So there might be certain questions, right? So configuring those questions when a candidate goes and sees all that kind of an configurations, we are going to see in your questionnaires and job requisitions. And job postings, as I've discussed, you can always post a job once your job opening is ready. Once your job requisition is created, the next step will always be you have to post a job. So you can post a job external, that means to outside people, or internal, that means to internal employees. So how you post, how they go, how a candidate will go and find the job opening, and then how he's going to apply, and then where we are going to see that candidate in your job requisitions, all that process will be shown to you. And then we have something like career sites and job applications. Career sites is something like Workday have its own site. Okay, if any client who is implementing Workday recruiting, they have a separate site which Workday is going to give it, and that server and everything will be maintained by Workday. So the client have to just take the license, and then there would be a site created by Workday, and then that site can be posted where we can post the jobs in that particular site, and any candidate can register in that site, log into that particular site, see the job description, apply there, and then he becomes an active applicant once he applies for that particular job requisition. So that is always your career sites. And then job application is again a BP. Again, we are touching our business process, which we have seen in our core HR. Again, it's a BP. Again, you have to run through certain process whenever you are hiring anybody. So that recruiting sub process is there, right? So that is something like your job application sub processes, where you have multiple business processes like review, screening, interview, employment agreement, ready for hire. You have offer sub process. You have so many sub processes where you have to configure all those things in order. And again, it all depends on the client. If the client says that, no, I don't want to go for employment agreement sub process, then you can leave it. You don't need to configure anything there. But whatever is required, that you have to show, and you have to explain this as a consultant. You have to explain this to your client, that these are the options given by Workday, and this is what it will happen if you configure this. And if your client likes it, then they will go for the next steps of implementing those things. Okay. And then we have something like job application sub process, prospects and candidates. So we have a difference between prospects. Prospects is something like the person, for example, let's say I'm eager to change my company. So let's say I went to Amazon site, and then so I've just clicked on a particular job opening and I liked it, but somewhere maybe my education qualification is not supporting, or maybe my level of experience is not supporting. So what I do is I don't apply for that job, but I have viewed that particular job. Now, any person who views a job but doesn't apply is nothing but an prospect. Prospect is something like who did not apply for it, but he have just gone through the job description. Candidate is the person who have applied for that job. He have gone through the description and he have applied. He becomes an active candidate, and then that person can be taken to the next level of process. So those things, and we have separate functionality called evergreen requisitions, and then we have some standard reporting in recruitment as well, which we will again go through that. Okay, so this is all what I have planned to cover in recruitment functional. So let me take a pause and ask you if you guys have any questions.
of roles in Workday
What
as
kind of a
a,
roles you mean?
yeah, I mean the positions for Workday
Okay,
tech. Yeah.
all right. So can we take this question? And this
Yeah,
is
no
not
problem.
related to recruiting, right? So we'll take this question
No,
at the last because I also need to
sure.
explain on some roles, certifications, and everything. Okay, all right. Let me move on. We have 10 minutes. Okay, so and again, the other important part is your reporting. Okay, so again, in Workday, we have a very critical part of functionality, which is reporting, which is again easy. At the same time, it's a bit complex. Now, you all know like reporting is something like, let's say in any product you go to SAP, you go to Oracle, you come to Workday or anywhere. If you as a consultant go and configure, your client is not bothered about what you have configured in the system. But if your client have ran a report, if the data is coming correctly in that particular report, that means the data that you have configured is correct. So that is one kind of an perception that always your clients have. So your clients will not go and check location by location. If they have 300 locations, they're not going to check all 300 locations in their tenant. They're just going to say that, okay, Dana, just give me a report where I can see all the locations which are there in my workday. So I can just create a report and I give it to them. They run the report and see, they check, they validate everything in a report. So reports are very important, and it is important for everybody, whether it is an kind of an functional people or integration people, anybody, because it's always that you can check the data quickly, and then your client will always going to be depending on the reports. And let me tell you, for a medium type of an Workday implementation, you will have around 200 to 250 reports created. If it is a big implementation, for example, if it is something like G implementation or kind of an Amazon implementation, they have almost like 400 plus reports, that many reports, because these companies are there in multiple countries, and for country specific, their HR people in each and every country might have different requirements, right? So depending on that, you have to go and create reports. But here in Workday, we have different types of reports. Example, simple, advanced, matrix, transpose, trending, inbox. So we have different types, but we are going to cover simple, advanced, and matrix reports, which again, advanced and matrix are widely used in the real time. Simple is for our purpose, not for client purpose, but advanced is completely 90% for client purpose. So which we are going to see how we can create a report, custom report. And there are also standard reports given by Workday. So here logically, if at all you are kind of an smart consultant, so if at all your client have given any requirements, you will not sit and start creating everything from the scratch, because Workday have also given something like standard reports, which are Workday reports. You can take those particular standard reports as a reference. You can copy those reports. You cannot edit any standard reports, but you can copy the reports, and then you can transform to custom report, and there you can do some kind of an adjustments, and then you can give it to the client. So that's where we will try to understand how we can do all those things in these kind of an classes. And then we have something like Workday calculated fields. Workday calculated fields is something like Workday have given many standard fields. There are some hundred thousands of fields given by Workday. But let's say if your client have asked for a particular field which is not given by Workday, then you have to create a field. That field is nothing but your calculated field. And then for creating a calculated field, you have multiple functions that you can always go and use. So what are those functions? How those functions can be useful? We will always see in terms of reporting. Okay. So that's what I want to cover in reports. Any questions before we move on to integrations? Okay, let me move on. So now coming back to the integrations. So for people who doesn't know what is integration and all, let me tell you. So let's say if your particular Workday system, let me give an example. Let's say you can take an example of TCS. Let's say you joined Tata Consultancy Services. Okay, you joined the company day one. So you have been given you have been assigned to a particular department, and then you have given your access cards and everything. And then at the time of induction, they are also going to tell you that if anybody who is joining TCS, they will be covered under some benefit insurance plans. Whereas an employee, you get your insurance plans for you as well as for your dependents, like your spouse and your children. Some companies also cover parents, some companies doesn't cover, but again, if you pay some extra amount, parents will also be covered in that kind of an insurance. Now, does Workday maintains this insurance? Sorry, TCS maintains this insurance? No, TCS doesn't maintain insurances, but TCS is tied to a particular third party. Let's say we have MetLife, we have Bajaj Allianz Insurance, medical insurance. So we have different third parties. Okay, so they maintain all these kinds of an insurances of an employee. Now you have joined TCS, and let's say TCS is using Workday for their employee management system. Now your details needs to go to that particular third party, to let's say Bajaj Allianz. Now how it will go? So your TCS Workday system will be integrated with that Bajaj Allianz insurance system, where every day once either your HR can run a process or it can be automatically done. We can also schedule your integrations where every night a process will be ran where all the employee details will be going to Bajaj Insurance, and they will register your details, and then they will send you email saying that we got your data and this is your login credentials, where you can log in into Bajaj and Allianz Insurance website, and you can check your insurance plans or your premiums, all that kind of an insurance details will be there. So integrations are nothing but if you want to integrate a particular Workday system with any third party system, that's where your integrations will always come into the picture. And then in integrations, we also have inbound integrations, outbound integrations. Outbound integrations is if you are sending data from Workday to some third party, that is always called as outbound because the data is going out of Workday. Inbound means if at all you're integrating in, like if at all you're bringing the data from outside to Workday, inside Workday, that is inbound. That means Workday is taking the data. So that is something like your inbound. So here in this EIBs and core connectors, this always have both inbound and outbound processes, and these are two different tools in Workday integrations, but EIBs are specialized in inbound data, inbound integration. That means you want to load the data. Okay, for example, your client might come to you and say that, see Dhana, so we want to promote like 250 employees. So promoting means their position should be changed. At the same time, their compensation should also be changed, right? So we are promoting 250 employees. So now we want to update their records. So their updation, their records can be always done with your EIBs. And let's say if you go to a manufacturing company, every day they hire some hundreds of people and they terminate some hundred of people, okay, from the company. So in that process, always your this particular EIB process will work out there. Okay, so we will practically see 1 to 2 EIBs, how the process flow, how you can load the data into your EIBs. Now coming back to the core connectors, again, core connectors have both inbound and outbound, but core connectors are specialized in outbound integrations. Any client who want to go for outbound, they go with core connectors. Any client who want to go with inbound, they go with EIBs. Now, why they go with core connectors means core connectors are specialized in sending the updated data. Okay. For example, if the client says that, or if the third party says that I need to only get the data whose records got updated in the last 1 month, then I can send it through core connected data. If they say that I want to get details of all the employees who record might change at any point of time, not only in last 1 month, but at any point of time. In that case, I may not go with core connector. I can always go with my EIB outbound interface. Okay, so that's the major difference, but core connectors are used a lot in your projects. Okay, so that's all about your core connectors. And at the end, we have something like iLoads. iLoads is majorly not for you guys. Not you guys means not for the people who are working on support projects, but anybody who is going for an implementation. And if you have to go for an implementation, you need to be a certified consultant, because these iLoads are only part of certified people, certified transactions, but not for support people. Okay, so I can give you an overview because there is a small difference between iLoads and EIBs. And using iLoads also, you can load the data into Workday, but there are kind of a restrictions. With EIBs, there are no restrictions, but with iLoads, there are certain restrictions, which I can explain you at the end of our sessions. Okay, so it's 9 p.m. sharp on time. So this is what we all have in this workday. We might get the roles of workday functional consultants. We might get roles of workday testing consultants. We might get roles of workday reporting consultants, workday integration consultants. And at some point of time, we also get something like workday conversion consultants. Conversion is something like whenever you're doing any fresh new implementation, you have to load the data. So whatever the client, let's say now TCS is using SAP. Now from 2021 Jan, they want to go with Workday. Now they have to take all this data and load it into Workday effective next year. So what they can do is they can use a conversion consultant help, with that person will be the right person who will gather the information, who will gather the data and try to load the data into Workday. So loading of the data will always happen, a lot of data. It's not like small data. Lot of data needs to be loaded in any implementation project. So where your conversion consultant will always play a very important role. That's a conversion consultant, but those roles are less. But moreover, you have more like functional integrations, reporting, testing. All these roles exist. Even you have workday security roles, you have workday payrolls. If you know workday payroll, that role will be there. Recruiting consultant, specific to recruiting consultant will be there. So all these roles exist for workday. Okay, so let me take a pause and ask you if you have any questions.
Hey, then I have, I mean, would that cover all these roles or anything in specific?
Yes, it covers every role what I'm covering, like workday functional. If you know, if you are specialized in core HR and recruitment functional, which I thought, you can go as a workday functional consultant. If you are well specialized in reporting, you can go as a reporting consultant. And testing is something like what you test, like for example, hiring of an employee, terminating an employee. That's what we are going to do. So every functional guy will always test it. But what few clients, like for example, clients, more of the clients in UK, they ask for testing consultants because they don't want that data to be given to some companies like Deloitte or Accenture, which are implementing. So they separately hire people only for testing for, let's say, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. They test it, and after testing is done, they relieve those guys. So definitely testing is again part of a functional role. If you know functionality, functional roles specialized, then you can always be a testing person. Yes, we are going to cover all these particular roles.
And how long is the duration? I mean, for the course, how many
Duration
weeks?
would be like 4 to 5 weeks. So mostly we will try to cover in 4 weeks. But again, if there is any delay, then we will try to take it to the 5th week.
So this is only on Saturdays and Sundays, or
No, this is daily.
every day?
Certifications, but the thing is, we cannot do certifications from outside. So what happens is, like when Workday as a company have formed it and they have developed this product, they have taken some partnership with few companies. Let's say the Workday partner companies are Deloitte, Accenture, IBM, KPMG, Elite, okay, and NGA. If at all you are in US, you have NGA. All and now recently CTS is again a partner. So what happens is only these partner companies can propose any person to certification. But let's say you're out of these partner companies and then you want to do certification, it's not possible. But the criteria is, if at all you have learned this course anywhere, you can be a support consultant. You are free to do support roles. So no one will stop you there. But if you want to implement a project in Workday, you have to definitely be an Workday certified consultant, and certification is there for every module. Not that you do one certification and you can support every module. No. For example, you are certified in core HR. You are only allowed to implement core HR module. If you are certified in payroll, you are allowed only to implement payroll, not any other module. That way, because these companies and Workday have close relationship, the clients and Workday, they can always go and validate, saying that, okay, this Dana is assigned to implement payroll module, and then they can cross check my name with Workday, saying that if this person have certification or not. If Workday says that yes, this person have certification, then client is fine. If not, they can raise a case on me. That's something like that. Yeah.
So when we look out for jobs in Workday, do they ask for certification if we have
No,
any, or
mostly, let me ask you whether you're based in India or US?
US?
Okay, in US, you have plenty of jobs. Okay, plenty of jobs on Workday, and they may not ask for certification because, again, the point here is most of the implementation are already done. Workday have started long back. Now most of the projects are support projects, even whether you're in US or India. So most of the roles that are coming right now are support roles. So you can go, you can give an interview, you can prove yourself and start working on support projects. Scientific questions in interviews. And on our daily basis, the first 5 to 10 minutes will be dedicated only for questions. So the first, whenever I start any session, the first thing is I'll just ask if you guys have any question from the previous sessions. Once those questions are clarified, then we will move on to the regular sessions. Until then, it's like we will try to take every question, whoever gets it, whether it's simple, complex, whatever it is. And interview questions will always be discussed in the classes. And moreover, I will be asking questions on the completed topics, so that even I need to understand whether you guys are following, or if there is any gap or anything. So, but